Viewers, of course, we will keep bringing you updates from the Prime Minister's interesting interaction with the public in Jaipur. But we begin tonight with an exclusive story. Earlier in the day, your channel reported that the NCERT has made a slew of recommendations to the centre, to the union government. Among them, the country's highest education board has clearances to incorporate lessons from India's classical history. In other words, the NCERT wants the students to learn about Lord Ram and his philosophical thoughts, as well as India's great epics and texts. It is also keen that the phrase Bharat is used to refer to our nation increasingly in our syllabus. This reset is intended to decolonize our learning and reduce its emphasis on Western texts and their study. This was confirmed by the NCERT's director in an exclusive interview to Network 18. The reset is to be welcomed. After all, why, for instance, should students know the philosophical origins of Latin mottos like cogito ergo sum and not ekam sat vipra bahudanti? Think about it, viewers. This lacuna is because the collective students have never been exposed to the richness of Bharat's intellectual traditions. Instead, students have been encouraged to read the so-called Renaissance texts and concepts as if our own intellectual traditions were somehow inferior. Viewers, let me take you through what some of these proposals are. Ancient history largely talks about foreign invasion. This needs to be course corrected, says the NCERT going forward. Epic history and the history of the Vedic age are missing. We don't know much about our Vedas, our Puranas, what they were about, who wrote them, when they were written, what was their key thrust. We also don't, of course, know much about, viewers, our epic history, the history of several of our epics. Our children do not study about Bharat's golden era, our own Renaissance. They don't have Ramayana or Mahabharata as syllabus. National heroes of modern history are pushed into oblivion. Why should we only read the history of invaders, the battles we lost? These are some of the basic assumptions on which the NCERT is progressing. The director asked, why should we not have pieces depicting Bharat's golden era? The proposed inclusion of Ram and his journey from north to south. And we are not talking about specifics. This is not, viewers, about specifics, because many people believe that Lord Ram is not a historical figure, but he is more of a mythical figure. Individual, they say, not I, they say, who influenced, who was a metaphor for deeper philosophical inquiries. Viewers, the NCERT proposes the inclusion of lessons on how Ram never divided anyone, his humanism. The NCERT believes our syllabus must include elaborate chapters on heroes like Netaji Bose, Shyama Prasada Mukherjee and Chandrasekhar Azad. The blame, viewers, for our children being cut off from their Bharatiyata, of course, lies with Marxist historians. These so-called left liberals spent the last 70 years denuding our Hindu foundations in the mistaken belief that they were promoting secularism. Had the intellectual vandals appreciated the worth of Bharat's philosophical history, they would have realized that pluralism, republicanism and rule of ethics were embedded in our civilizational ethos. These disciples of Macaulay are so suspicious of our great Bharatiya culture that they continue to oppose any course correction, pun intended. Sample this outpouring of resentment at the NCERT's timely proposals, viewers. Listen to this. Listen to what the left, or what is presumed to be the intellectual left of this country, has had to say about the NCERT's very timely moves.
NCERT, being an expert body, should not succumb to the pressure in order to implement the RSS agenda. NCERT should remain as an expert body and act as an expert body. Otherwise, people will start questioning NCERT.
2014 से जब से नरेंद्र मोदी जी का रजीम आया, शिक्षा का जो भगवाकरण है वो इन्होंने करने की कोशिश किया। हम तो ये कहेंगे नरेंद्र मोदी जी की रजीम को कि आप जो ICHR है आप उसको बंद कर दीजिए। क्या ज़रूरत है ICHR की? क्या ज़रूरत है हिस्टोरियंस की जो साइंटिस्ट पर वो अपनी खोजबीन करते हैं, फिर उसके बाद कोई इतिहास लेखन होता है।
जो चीजें पढ़ाई जानी चाहिए वो नहीं पढ़ाई जा रही हैं। जैसे कास्ट बारे में जो डिलीट किया गया कि भारत आखिर में गुलाम क्यों हुआ। 4000, 6000, 10,000 लोग आकर के इतने बड़े विशाल देश के ऊपर राज कर जाते थे पीट पीट करके, तो वो जातियों में बटे हुए थे। तो उसके बारे में बताया जाना चाहिए कि आज भी जाति क्षति कर रही है देश की।
But these skeptics are blocking the exposure of students to some fundamentals that give us a unique identity in the world, our sense of Bharatiyata. Don't we want our children to be truly culturally literate? Viewers, consider this question. Shouldn't they know why the Supreme Court's motto is Yato Dharmastat Jaya? Isn't it time they know the textual origins of Seva Asmakam Dharma, which is the Indian Army's motto, for example? Bharat's past is yearning to be catapulted into the present. Isn't it an irony that the naysayers are against the NCERT's proposals, even though our constitution and some of our greatest institutions derive their inspiration from our Indic civilizational roots? Viewers, here are some hard facts that these people who are today so enamored of the Western way are forgetting. Article 1 of the Constitution says, India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states, unquote. So viewers, think about this. If our textbooks begin to use the word Bharat, it doesn't mean that we are taking a wrecking ball to our political history. The Constitution itself says, India, that is Bharat. The original copy of India's Constitution, Part 3 on fundamental rights, carries an illustration of Ram, of Lord Ram, because he was a humanist. So if we are taught about the humanistic qualities of Lord Ram in our schools, it doesn't make us Sanghis, viewers. The motto of Supreme Court is Yato Dharmastat Jaya, a Sanskrit shloka found in our greatest epic, Mahabharata. Should we not know the context in which this is applied and why the Supreme Court thinks it necessary to have it as its motto? Ask yourselves, viewers, were you taught of this in school? Ekam Sat Bahuda Vadanti is an Upanishadic statement that informs the essence of Bharat's plurality. We don't need Western culture to tell us about pluralism. We have it ingrained in us. It is there in our Upanishads, and that is why, viewers, Hindus are so tolerant. We are naturally tolerant. We don't need the British or some other culture to tell us about tolerance, to preach to us. We don't have to read foreign texts to understand the greatness of democracy. It was in viewers. Service before self, or Seva Asmakam Dharma, the motto of Indian Army, is taken from the Mundak Upanishad, viewers. Yet we know nothing about things. Our viewers, our education needs to be decolonized. It's as simple as that. Let's get to our debate. Let's get to our debate and ask the big questions. Is the ethos of Bharat okay in the Constitution but not in the classroom?
Moto.
Should a course correction not be made? We're asking those questions, brought to you by Motorola. Let's go straight out. Let's ask basic questions this evening. Let's begin with those who think that these changes are, as they themselves are saying, a tilt towards, a nod towards saffronization, or are irrelevant, as the Congress leader Udit Raj said that relevant topics are being ignored by including all of this. So let me first begin with Mr. Kamru Chaudhary, who's representing the Congress party. Mr. Chaudhary, what's the problem here? What's the problem?
Yeah, Rahul, I don't see any problem out there. But I just want to remind you and your viewers, you're one of the best recently acclaimed Chief Minister of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Hemanta Biswa Sharma, while dismissing and abolishing the madrasa education system in Assam, had said that we cannot use the public money for propagating or teaching religious text in schools and madrasas. That was a statement, and rightly so. Nobody of us opposed it. Why should the government money in a secular country like India be spent on religious teaching? Now you come to the basic point of the debate tonight. Whether you accept that Ramayana is a religious book, yes or no. If it is yes, then I need to oppose it. If it is no, then I need to support it. And I must say that there are plenty of other books in Indian history which glorify India's culture, like the Discovery of India by Jawaharlal Nehru. What's wrong in that book for teaching the NCERT books? What's wrong in the Amartya Sen's book of the Argumentative Indian? There are lots of books that highlight the cultural heritage, the cultural diversity of India as a nation, assimilating various religions over the years that have come and made India their whole land out here. What's wrong in teaching Islam? What's wrong in teaching the Bible? What's wrong in teaching the Guru Granth Sahib in the NCERT book? I don't see any problem out here. But if you want to bring in a saffronization of the education system, by stating that Ramayana and Mahabharata need to be taught just because Ramayana's photos are there in the Indian Constitution, so we can be, you need to just generalize the entire thing and say that, okay, fine, we can have a religious text in the NCERT books. But as a secular nation, till the time we are declaring ourselves as a Hindu Rashtra, I don't think so it is the right step in the right direction. Rather, it will lead to unnecessary controversy and will try to create enmity among the youth of our country. Like if you read the Ramayana, then what's wrong in the Bible? What's wrong in the Quran? What's wrong in the Guru Granth Sahib? That is the basic argument that you can go out here. But then over the years...
I just want to make a quick intervention here. In my hand, in my telephone, viewers, Higher Secondary Course, Islamic History and Culture, Department of Education, Government of Karnataka. Here it is, viewers. This is a left government right now that teaches all of this. There it is. Now, you see, viewers, problem begins and ends here. We all went to school, we all learnt about the teachings of Guru Nanak Ji, about Mahavira Ji. We didn't have one, because we don't, at least Hindus don't have one central text. We were never taught the teachings of Lord Ram, for instance, or whatever the Gita had to say. Saying, viewers, at any level, that the state should fund religious education. But certainly, every religion, every school of philosophical thought, every tradition, every culture has something to tell us. And I want to bring in Hindoj Sengupta here. Hindoj Sengupta, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, there has been this sort of reflexive opposition to teaching anything about our indic values, our indic historical texts, our indic texts. Why is this? Is it because we fear that we will become a religious nation if we do this?
Rahul, let me ask a question before I answer yours. In America, they say that their country believes in God we trust. It's every official document. Now, does any American have any doubt which God that is? They can't have doubt because the President of America, no president has ever become President of America until they have officially clearly stated that they are Christian.
Hindoos, Sengupta, you could be quoting straight out one of the chapters of the book I have just written. It could be absolutely verbatim, but please go on. This is very important what you're about to say. It's very important.
When the breakfast meetings are done by the US president, what breakfast meetings are those? They are Christian breakfast prayer meetings. David Cameron, who's just returned to government in the UK, used to put out an Easter message saying, "We are a Christian nation." No nation in the world has this hesitance about their essential character, and no nation claims that by embracing the essential character, it would be divisive apart from India. We are the sole unfortunate, idiotic nation in the world which has the misfortune of people claiming that if we embrace our essential cultural heritage, it will be divisive. This is an idiotic idea. Allow me to please state clearly, Rahul, that the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, while they are indeed religious texts, they are much more than religious texts. They are texts that define our entire civilizational worldview. You may say, well, the Greeks have such texts, and that civilization is gone. Well, we kept alive our civilization. That can't be our fault. That's an idiotic argument to make. If the Greeks had kept alive their civilization, then those texts would have been religious and indeed philosophical and cultural for them. Our texts are at the same time religious, spiritual, and civilizational. They are part of our civilizational memory. This is how when we read the Ramayana, we understand what it means to be a human being. How did India look at the idea of being a human being? How did India look at the idea of power? How did India look at the idea of justice? These Bharatiya ideas make up the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. To say that if you read the Ramayana and Mahabharata, this is we have to claim that we are a Hindu country or Hindu Rashtra. Well, in many ways, culturally, we are already a Hindu Rashtra, but that, quite like in America or in Britain, does not mean that we are a divisive country at all. We are only stating the basic essence of our country, but on top of that basic essence, that inherent pluralism of Hinduism is for everybody, like people, like, in a sense, democracy in America makes space for everybody, and so it does in the UK. This is not controversial at all. We have purposely for 75 years, for nefarious means, made this controversial.
We made this controversial. Monojit Mondol, Sudhaiva Kutumbukum. The world is one family comes from where? It comes from which foundational text? And can you point out in any other text an equivalent sentiment?
No, I think the analogy given by my previous speaker between America, England, and India, I think we are not certainly similarly placed nations. For the simple reason that in America and Britain, you do not have this variety of religious practices as you have in India. I think my previous speaker is quite privy to a very famous public lecture given by incidentally in America in 1916 by the name of Nationalism in India. I think he is elaborately talking about that why India cannot have one narrative of either nationalism, religion, or cultural practices because of that. Having said that, Tagore has also talked about Ramayana itself, and if you read his very short essay on Ramayana, it's written vernacular, you'll understand the kind of importance that to give to all these texts. It did not ever consider them as religious texts at all. So if someone is reading Ramayana, Mahabharata as an extremely secular text, I believe they are extremely secular texts. One political dispensation might try to appropriate them as religious texts. I do not believe in that concept at all, because at that point of time, you have only one particular set of people ruling India. You don't have this variety as we have, fortunately, unfortunately, because of the people coming from outside the state. That again takes me to another poem by Tagore, which incidentally our Prime Minister more often than not quotes. This is the poem called Bharat Tirtha, India as a Pilgrimage, where he is inviting all the people to come and live in India, be one with the great idea of India that we have, So I think in Bangla it's called Milabe Milebe Debe Ar Nebe Jabe Na Fire Ei Bharater Mahamaneber Saktir. I think my good friend will understand this language. He's saying that India is a concept, it's an idea where people from outside, they have come and lived here for ages. I think that inclusivity is precisely absent at that point of time. There is nothing wrong in reading Ramayana, reading Mahabharata.
There you go.
Nothing
So
wrong.
can I ask you, Mr. Monojit Mondol, why is it that the Congress party, the left parties and several others have this problem? And before you answer this question, I just want to point out one thing. You referred to America. Let me tell you, viewers, it was because America had just too many denominations, even Christian denominations, that they could not give primacy to one particular religion and chose the path of being constitutionally secular. So Monojit Mondol is wrong there. They had a lot of diversity, not only in the Christian tradition, but there were several other worldviews also, viewers.
I'll tell you.
So please understand, viewers, all this humbug that is thrown at us. But no one answered the specific question. Mr. Mondol, I asked you specific questions. Which other philosophy? You say that if we read our own Hindu philosophy and our texts, this is saffronization. Which other text is as tolerant? Which other traditions' texts are as tolerant as the Hindu texts are? Can you name me one?
Who is saying that
Every other text, sir, talks about the kafir, the infidel. Which Hindu text talks about the other? The kafir, the infidel. Point out.
No, you didn't get my point. My point was that these are not particularly a text to be appropriated by a political dispensation.
Okay.
I think Ramayana and Mahabharata, for God's sake, are not BJP text. I don't.
No one is saying they are BJP. No one is saying they are BJP, sir. No one is saying they are BJP. But the very fact that they are being brought into this particular curriculum, the NCERT, is being opposed today by people such as yourself because they are calling it saffronization. I want to ask you, if our children read
by our students,
yes,
right, from the school level,
yes, Chaudhary wants to come in.
Read and understood by
Very quick before I bring in
Rahul,
Uday Mahurkar.
I strongly condemn one of your questions that you have just now asked.
Yes, sir.
Whichever religious text.
Yes.
Which other religious text?
Yes.
And sorry, Rahul,
yeah.
We have fought countless number of years, over thousands of years on this same logic. Even we are fighting one ideological war in Palestine
Chaudhary,
and Israel.
Please don't try tonight. Please don't try to. Hang on.
Than your faith.
Hang on.
The question I've asked, I am staying.
No. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, you mentioned one Hindu text that talks about the others, that talks about kafir or infidels.
No, that is
Mention.
not the question.
No, that's the question.
So,
that is the question because this is called saffronization.
On that. Because if I come and point out
no, you point out, sir. You point out where don't say my religion, our religion.
The world will become an eye and eye.
No, sir, please. That's Listen, I've heard this.
Because of the simple reason.
Right, Mr. Chaudhary. Because my religion seemingly is more superior than your religion. Right. So can you then, Mr. Chaudhary, take a position tonight and tell me?
It's a matter of faith.
So Kamru Chaudhary, can you take a position tonight and say? One second, Kamru Chaudhary, don't get excited. I don't shout over you, please.
It's not a question. Can you take back your question?
I won't take back my question. I want to ask you, Kamruzaman Chaudhary, another question. I want to ask you another. Why are you shouting? Why are you losing your? Calm down.
This is not a question of calming down. You are insulting one religion.
I am not insulting any religion, sir. Please. You are only speaking facts. I'm asking you. I'm asking you which. I'm not saying that. I'm only asking you to go into the dialectics. Okay. Mr. Chaudhary, I'll have to silence you. You've just lost your rag for no rhyme or reason. Your dog whistling away. If I ask you a very specific question, what gives the Hamas sanctity to drive out all Jews, as they say, viewers, from river to sea? You read their charter. You'll know what gives them the sanctity. Kamru Zaman will not accept it.
What gave
Aurangzeb the charter?
Excuse me.
What gave Aurangzeb? Sir, if you're going to keep shouting, it's not going to be possible. I will have to ask you to keep quiet or lower your fader.
Mute me, but Rahul, I take strong objection.
You can take strong objections, sir. You are within your rights. You are within your rights to take strong objection. Within your rights to take strong objection, sir. It's a matter of fact. The Hindu faith nowhere, and I want to bring in Dushyant Sridhar right now. Which Hindu text differentiates people on the basis of persuasion? Tell me. Mr. Sridhar, tell me. Which? Name.
Namaskaram Rahul, and namaskaram to all my fellow panelists, and namaskaram to the viewers. I've been listening patiently to all views. Just a few points. One of the invocatory verses of the Ramayana states, Yavat sthasyanti girayaha saritascha mahite tavad Ramayana katha lokeshu pracharishyati. And the invocatory verse to the Mahabharata says, Narayanam namaskritya naranchaiva narottama devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya mudirayet. So as as the mountains last and the rivers flow, so will the sanctity of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata last. So at the outset, I am extremely happy, better late than never, at least Ramayana and Mahabharata have been found as a part of the history syllabus. One. Second, 3 out of every 5 names in our country, Bharatadesham, India, will have names that are associated with the Ramayana and Mahabharata. You map places from Ayodhya to Shringi to Rameshwaram, Ramanathapuram, Dwaraka, Mathura, Gokula, Vrindavan. We have all these places. And remember, Rahul, when we trust in the evidences that we have received in history,
to you, Mr. Mahurkar,
right from the dynasties of the Cholas,
30 seconds. Yeah.
To the Cholas, to the Pallavas, the Cholas very clearly state, Rahul, that we are descendants of Rama. Pallavas clearly state we are descendants of Drona and Ashwathama. All our historical dynasties said we derive our lineage from the Surya Vamsha or Chandra Vamsha. So when I believe in the Cholas say we are descendants of Rama. So how is it not a part of history? And one last part, Rahul. Of course, one of the panelists said, why shouldn't the other religious texts be a part of it? I would suggest in a course called Comparative Religion, every student in India should know about the tenets of every other religion.
Exactly.
That I support. But Mahabharata and Ramayana are exactly the beautiful epics, itihasas of this civilization.
Okay.
It was not born in some European land. It was born in this land. It has to be a and last one point, Rahul. I take, like one another panelist who took objection to you, I took objection when you said that the left intellectuals say, this is a befitting example of an oxymoron, the left can never be intellectuals.
Okay, well, that's a point of view that, okay, you're forwarding, but Mr. Mahurkar, let me ask you. The charge that is going to be made inevitably is that you're saffronizing our syllabus.
I think this is, I would say, a course correction in history which should have begun many years ago. This process should have begun soon after independence, but for 60 years we saw a polity where Hindu ethos were being looked down upon, being ignored. Therefore, this is part of course correction in history in the first place. Secondly, Ramayana is being played on stage in more than half a dozen countries in the world, maybe dozen countries. And the footprints of Ramayana are found in Sri Lanka, in many places across the country. So it is history, and history should be taught. And secondly, thirdly, Ramayana and Mahabharata are part of this country's heritage. You can't compare them to Bible and Quran. And as you rightly said, Bible and Quran have words like kafir, pagans. Ramayana and Mahabharata are inclusive, totally. Just imagine, there is a book called Taqwatul Iman being taught in Deobandi madrasas in this country, which is like a stepping stone to Islamic separatism, still being taught. I mean, that book condemns the customs of all other religions, including Christian customs. So, this process should have begun many years ago. it was unfortunate that we could not do it so many years ago.
So let me ask, Mr. Chaudhary,
So
why?
this is something which has to be welcomed by people of all religions.
Okay.
And mind you, Ramayana is found in Urdu also, in Arabic also. There are scholars of Islam who have translated Ramayana into Urdu. So Ramayana and Mahabharata are part of this country's heritage. Every Indian, irrespective of, I would say Gita for that matter, every Indian, irrespective of religion, caste, should know what is Ramayana, what is Mahabharata,
Okay.
what is Gita.
Okay. Important points being made tonight, viewers. Hindol, Sen Gupta wants to come in and I then want to bring in Kamru Chaudhary.
Has written beautiful on Ramayana beautifully for children, you know.
Yes.
Rajagopalacharya
Yes.
has produced wonderful books which are in the sense meant for children, you know.
Viewers,
One
it
on
is,
Ramayana,
no
one
one,
on
it
Mahabharata.
is no one's case that we are exorcising our syllabus from mention of any other faith. We are just broad basing it. That's all. We want to add, not subtract. Sindhu Sen Gupta, before I bring in Mr. Chaudhary. Yes.
Rahul, I wanted to take the point that Monojit Mandal was making. As a Bengali, I have heard this logic again and again, and allow me on your show to demolish this logic. Tagore spoke about humanism. Yes, Tagore spoke about humanism. Where did that humanism come from? It came from the Brahmo Samaj that Tagore was part of. Where did the Brahmo Samaj take its ideas, indeed its ideals, including its songs which percolated in the writings of Tagore also from the Upanishads, for crying out loud? But all these Bengalis like Monojit Mandal have never understood this, or even if they understand it, they will never mention it. The Brahmo Samaj and Tagore's humanism did not come out of thin air, Rahul. It did not come out of Norway or Sweden or America. It came out of the Upanishads, for crying out loud. I mean, please, when will we embrace and accept this? The entire basis and foundation of Tagore's philosophies, his universalism, is the Upanishadic
You
knowledge.
may as well tell people, Mr. Sen Gupta, where Bankim Chandra's Hindutva came out of.
Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, most Indians don't even know this, and I've written a full book on this now called Soul and Thought. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay is the first person who mentioned Hindutva. Bankim wrote Anandamat.
There you go.
Anandamat is the first place. Anandamat gives us a Vande Mataram. Anandamat is the first place which has the word Hindutva in it.
There you go, viewers. This
Kamil?
bit of history will never be
But
told.
he's-
What we will be told is that
didn't understand
Hindutva has
that
come out
point.
of Mr. Savarkar's mouth. That is what you will be told. Day in, day out. Day in, day out. Why isn't that your children should know this fact, viewers? Why should they be deprived of these basic fundamentals of learning? Why should they be lobotomized by prejudice? You tell me, viewers, think about it. Do you know your own history? Who would you blame for not introducing you to your own history? And Mr. Chaudhary, therefore I'm asking, why did the Congress take no interest in telling us all about our own history? Why did you deracinate us from our roots?
And why are you bringing in the Congress out here? You want to learn about Ramayana, you want to learn about Mahabharata, you want to learn Gita. Fine,
Okay.
it's all there. In the public domain, you can always learn.
Right. But not
As
in the
a
classroom.
Muslim-
It can be in the
Wait.
constitution. Our constitution can take its inspiration from these texts, but not our children in classrooms. This is bizarre, viewers. Go to a
Rahul,
library,
do
they
you
say,
consider-
read up
no,
about
no,
your... No,
talk
hang on,
about
read out
culture.
about... No, hang on, just finish. Let me finish. Read out your Hindutva roots or your Hindu roots or your Indic roots in a library. Don't come to school for that. This is bizarre. But we'll teach you Greek mythology. We'll tell you who Minerva was, so that you can watch your next great fictional, lovely serial and learn what Athena did.
No, Rahul, one simple question
Can I
I want
come
to
in?
ask you.
But
Do you
boy,
consider
if you bring,
Ramayana-
remember viewers, when the Ramayana was broadcast in this country, At that time, what did they say? That Ramanand Sagar had become auxiliary for the Ram Mandir movement. That was said. I leave it at this.
Ramayana and Mahabharata are, I think, not the same.
Right. Right. So even I'm saying that. You guys made that distinction. Anyhow, I'm going to take a small break, viewers. I'm only going to say this. The time has come when we decolonize our minds. I'm not saying that do this instead of that. I'm saying also do this. Learn about your roots. Let your children be close to their roots. I'll take a short break. When we come back, viewers, secrets of Al Shifa Hospital told by the person who is there.